Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the Medium in the Middle. On this podcast, I share my journey as a developing psychic medium, as a Reiki master teacher, as an Akashic record practitioner, and anything else that's thrown my way. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Middlers. Welcome to episode 183. My name is Stephanie. I am the Medium in the Middle. Welcome back. We had a very exciting week last week with the podcast's 4th birthday. There was a big sale that happened. I did a special episode. We had a giveaway. The giveaway closed yesterday, and the winner will be announced on my Instagram today. So if you aren't following me at Medium in the Middle on Instagram, follow me over there. We do giveaways and fun stuff, and I post a lot of additional content over there, Reiki mediumship stories every day behind the scenes. Just a reminder, I only have one Instagram. There are a lot of scammers. I will never DM you. I'll never send you a request for money. All my business is done on my website, themediuminthemiddle.com. So just beware of scammers. Today, I want to tell a little manifestation story. Actually, it's not little, but it's a manifestation story. Two, actually. Second one's a little bit random, but it's just you have to acknowledge these things when they happen so that you can keep pulling more into your life. So we're going to talk about manifesting again today. I know a lot of you just bought the manifesting course when it was on sale and the manifesting money course when it was on sale. I'm already getting DMs about things that you've manifested, so I love that for you. And it's just nice to talk about this stuff, bring it into your awareness, pay attention to what you're manifesting, for me to pay attention to what I'm manifesting. And yeah, we should talk about these things more. That is what today's episode is going to be about. First, we're going to pull a card for the collective. And I'm pulling from the deck, the Angel Guidebook from Kyle Gray. This card flipped over for you. Strength and Guidance. Every time I read this card, I always think of the Drake song, Strength and Guidance. Anyways. Strength and Guidance. Don't underestimate the power of your soul. You are a strong and resilient soul with the capacity to rise above any challenge. Divine intervention is taking place at this time. Whatever is occurring in your life is providing a real learning curve for your soul. You are becoming more and more aware of what will lead you to fulfill your purpose and what will divert you from joy. Your angel guide is encouraging you to recognize that the feelings that are coming up for you now are guidance that will help you understand the steps you need to take and the moves you need to make in order to be aligned with abundance and support. Ooh. Okay, strength and guidance. I like that little message. Do not underestimate the power of your soul. So I just had my first 2 days off of the summer at home. That wasn't like, I'm going away. That's why I have time off. So I've said this before on the podcast, and I'll say it again because I never want anything to be sugar-coated. But for the first 2 years of business, I worked 6.5 to 7 days a week. And then finally last year, I protected my 1 day off a week, Mondays off. That didn't mean I worked on Mondays. Things that I could fit, I would put on Mondays. Interviews I needed to schedule, I'd put on Mondays. No. Mondays were off, and I kind of protected them. And just a few months ago, I decided that I needed to start taking more days off and living life. I don't need to be working 6 days a week. So I started to schedule 2 days off every other week, and that started this week. So I had 2 days off, and it was incredible. I stayed home. I did so many things. I saw friends. I hosted. I went out for breakfast. I went out for dinner. I went out for lunch. I did laundry. I cleaned. I went paddleboarding. I took Archie for a walk. Met a new friend. I met some old friends. And I just felt like I had so much time to do so many things. I got to sleep in. I felt rested. And I'm really looking forward to new me who has 2 days off once in a while. So I'm just coming off of that after the big birthday week. So it was really nice. And it's funny, like I really still have limiting beliefs to change about this because I was looking into my schedule into September And I immediately thought, oh, that's a lot of days off. Like, I could just open this one day. And I was like, no, Steph, no, like, we're holding those days off. You can have 6 days off a month. That's fine. You know, there's other ways to make up that income, and it's totally okay. But it was just like in my mind, I'm like, I must work. But being off and being at home, like staying in Banff, was so nice. So just a reminder to all the entrepreneurs listening to this, only you are in charge of your schedule. That means only you can fill it and only you can book time off. So I really am learning that lesson this year. I have to book time off. I have to book the thing. I have to buy the tickets. I have to live life. So just a reminder if you needed to hear that. We're going to do announcements very quickly. I feel like I've had so much going on, but it all wrapped up last week. So the only announcement I have for you is Reiki trainings for the fall. We have the next level 1 is September 30th and October 1st. These have been selling like crazy. So I added an additional level 1. There will not be a level 1 in October, but there will be level 2. The next level 2 is September 9th and 10th. That one has 2 spots left. And then the one after that will be in October. So just stay tuned. I host them about once a month, but going into the fall, things get really busy with Banff Wellness Retreats. If you are going to the Banff Wellness Retreats in the fall, I will see you there. But that's all my announcements for today. So I'll start off with a small manifesting story before we get into the big ones, because this has been on my to-do list for 2 years. 2 years. And I was thinking about the like long-standing things on my to-do list that I just wish I could tick off. So I wanted to get my car detailed. I've had my car for, I don't even want to think about how long I've had it for. 8 years, I think. And I've just been wanting to get it detailed for literally the past 2 years. I'm just like, I just need the inside cleaned. I just needed a good clean. But I live in a small town and we don't have anywhere to get it detailed. And if I went to the next town over, there's like allegedly like a 3-month wait and it takes a bunch of hours. And I was just thinking like, number one, I only have 1 day off a week. I don't want to drive there and then sit in the shop for 3 hours while I wait for it. Also, like 3 hours is such a short amount of time to have someone pick me up and then bring me back. And what am I going to do while I just sit there? I'd probably just work. Or I could take it to Calgary, which was, again, the same situation and an hour and a half away. So this has just been something on my list. And then a few weeks ago, I was thinking, like, I wish I could just tick this thing off of my list. It's just been in the back of my mind. Like, I want to get it cleaned. I want to get it cleaned before winter. And, like, I tried to do it myself. And I tried to vacuum and wipe everything. And I just, like, I don't have a front garage and I don't have like a driveway where I could do this in, and I've gone to those. It's just been this is all to say it's just been on my mind that I want to get this done, and I wanted to get it done in spring summer before it gets dirty again. So anyways, I was on Instagram and randomly this person who I haven't seen their story in a really long time popped up, and they said, "Hey, I'm doing interior cleanings." And it was only $120. And if I were to take it to the shop, it was going to be like $350 at least. And I was like, no way. And he lives in Banff, so I messaged him and he's like, yeah, you could bring it in tomorrow. And I was like, are you kidding me? So I like brought it there, dropped the car off, walked home the next day, walked there, picked it up. And it was like the easiest thing ever for $120. And I was just thinking, thank the car lords for giving me this. Like, just my mental load sometimes was feeling so heavy. And last week when there was so much going on, I don't know why I was thinking to myself, like, and I have to get my car detailed and I haven't in 2 years because I haven't had time. And then this just happened and he was like, yeah, I can do it tomorrow. And I was like, cool, I can walk to your house and drop off the car and then pick it up. And it just like literally worked out seamlessly. So thanking the universe for that one. My car is nice and clean now, and it should stay that way for the next 7 years. The guy was like, yeah, so next time I can like shampoo your seats if I want. And I said to him, I was like, it took me 2 years to even book this appointment. So see you in 2 years when I probably actually do it again. Probably even longer, because now that it's clean, it's going to remain clean forever. I'm a clean car type of girly. Like, my car wasn't dirty. I just like wanted it to be wiped down, and yeah, I ain't got time for that. And I know this might not seem like a manifestation, but this guy is someone that I know from town. He's a photographer. He just like literally started doing this week. Like it was just very random. And then the fact that I even saw his story when it was up and he was like just telling people about it. It was just like all very much like one thing after another to knock off one thing that's been on my to-do list forever. It was just like, thank you, universe. Like, thank you for this clean car. Thank you for making it easy. Thank you for him being in Banff, just living a few blocks away where I could just drop off my car and walk home. Like, it was just like the easiest thing. It was just perfect. Chef's kiss perfect. And you just really need to thank the universe for those perfect case scenarios because that's how you get more of them. Acknowledge what's in front of you. Feel gratitude, and yeah, just know that like I've been looking for someone to do this for so long and it all just lined up perfectly. Like, thank you, universe. Speaking of things working out just perfectly, this leads me into my next manifestation story and just really feeling into that like lucky girl syndrome that's all over TikTok where like things always work out for me. And not that I feel like I have lucky girl syndrome because I don't think it's luck. I do think it's manifesting in energy and awareness, but I'm going to preface this entire story with over a year ago, probably 2 years ago, I was listening to, I'm pretty sure it was a Tony Robbins podcast. He was interviewing someone on his podcast, and I forget who it was because I heard this podcast a year and a half or 2 years ago. And the podcast was talking about how if you want to, upgrade your energy, manifest higher, about expanding, to fly first class once. They said, figure out a way to fly first class once and you will always sit at the front of the plane for the rest of your life. Like once you have that experience once, you will always find a way to fly at the front of the plane. And I was thinking about that manifestation every time I fly, and I've always been too afraid to do it. And I was like, no. And then last year when I went to Mexico, I was checking into my flight, and I got the option to upgrade to first class for only $200. And I remember thinking, like, this will probably really be worth it. It's over a 6-hour flight. We're going on vacation, so, you could drink as much as you want because when you get off, you're just going to the resort. And it would be like such a cool experience. And I just remember like sitting at the checkout being like, do I upgrade for $200? Like, this is so cheap. It kind of felt like a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I didn't do it because I was too afraid to ask the person I was going with if they wanted to upgrade as well. And we ended up not even being sat together, so I should have done it. But anyways, it was a big lesson back then that I don't want to say I failed. I would say it wasn't the right time. But where I ended up sitting, I was still in like a premium seat for some reason. Not like the front, but like I had a little bit more room than the other seats. And I remember that I was close enough to first class that I could see through the curtain and I could see them getting their hot towels and I could see them being served champagne and glassware. And I just remember like I kept seeing this one dad. He had 4 kids with him in first class. And he just like kept getting his drink refilled over and over, but they just like brought the bottle of champagne over to him. And I was just like, that so would have been worth $200 like next time I'm doing it. So the universe had that opportunity, and then I had to stare at it for the whole 6-hour flight. And I posted on Instagram, and I probably talked about it on a podcast. This was like over a year ago. But then it happened again. So you guys know I am a fan of you only have to learn a lesson once. And when something comes back around, the universe is double checking if you're ready. So I had plans to go to Ontario to visit my family. It just so happened that I booked this trip at like the end of the mentees, at the end of the mastermind. I wanted to go in between all of the programs ending. There was a week before all of the programs would restart, and I didn't want to work when I was there. So I was just thinking like I could go at this time. I had booked it like months in advance. It ended up happening that Taita broke her arm and a bunch of family stuff was going on. So it was like a good time to go. So aside from that, so it's a few days before I'm about to leave, and I think it was 4 days before, I got this email saying, do you want to upgrade your seat? So I click on the email, and it says, upgrade your seat now to premium. And I clicked on it, and it was still like over $200 to upgrade your seat. And the flight to Toronto was only 4 hours. And I was like, I don't need to pay $200 to upgrade my seat. And I am the type of person that I don't care when I'm traveling. I will sit in the middle seat. I don't care if I have a window seat. I don't care if I have a middle seat. I don't care if I have an aisle seat. I usually just lay there and fall asleep anyways. Or I work or I listen to something or I watch something, but I really don't care. I always like to be last getting on the plane, no matter what zone I'm in, because I just like to remain in the fresher air as long as possible. So I'm like an easy traveler. I'm usually traveling by myself, so I'll sit wherever. I usually don't have like a carry-on. I just have a purse, so I'm very, very easy. So I get this email. I'm like, no, I'm not upgrading to get my seat. 2 days before, I get the email again, and now it's down to like $150 to upgrade your seat. And I remember thinking like, oh, they must have oversold the flight and they need some people to upgrade to the front. I was like, you know what? I don't really care. Like, it's just going to be, this 4-hour flight. I'm not going to pay $150. But I was like, I think I see the universe is testing me. So then it's the day before my flight, and I'm checking in, and I never select my seat. Whatever seat they give me, again, I don't care. I'm not paying $45 to select a seat. But this time, for some reason, I looked to buy a seat. Like normally I just skip seat selection and I go to check out. It was really weird. I just decided to look at seats, and I don't know why I did that. So I was looking at the seats, and I noticed that the first row of the plane, there was one seat left for $99. And I was like, I think this is a test. I was like, the universe, I got that one email, and I actually opened the email and look. I got the second email. I actually opened the email and look. Again, usually I wouldn't have even opened those emails. And then this for $99. Now, I had already bought my plane ticket on points. So my return flight actually only cost me $150. So I was like, for $100, I'm still pretty cheap. Like, for $100, I gotta do it. So I bought the first row of the plane. It was the window seat, and I was like, let's roll, universe. And I remembered the podcast, and okay, I'm feeling abundant. We're gonna do it. Let's go. So I don't know if this was because I upgraded my seat, but for some reason I also got priority security, and you also get 2 bags free. All of this stuff I didn't know. So I went, and I remember I was really pushing it on the bus there. I think I arrived at the airport at 11:45 and boarding was at 12:20. So I went to the gate that I normally go to for security, and I showed them this pass. I was like, I have this thing, and they're like, oh, you have to go to this other gate. They're like, it'll be way faster though if you go there. So I run to this other gate because I'm late, and I get bumped right to the front of the line. They're like, oh, okay, go right to the front. And I was like, okay, and then I figured out where to go. Was through security in 5 minutes. Then I bought a bunch of food because I'm gluten-free and dairy-free, and I was like, I want to eat on this plane. So I bought a bunch of food, and then they called Zone 1, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to really live up this whole experience. I'm the first row of the plane. I'm Zone 1 for the first time ever. I'm going first. So I went on first, and I started eating all the food that I brought, and I'm unpacking in my giant seat, and my legs are out straight, and it was amazing. And then the whole experience happened. And you get a water bottle when you sit down. Then they hand you a menu. Then for the meal, everyone gets a hot meal. They set up your tray. They give you a placemat. They give you real cutlery. They give you real glassware. I was drinking bubbly out of a glass. I had coffee in a mug, a giant mug. And then they give you a snack and some nuts. They give you a warm towel to wash your hands, a little towelette to disinfect. The washroom at the front is just for you and first class. And it was this really nice washroom that had tissues, and it had nice paper towel, and it had pump soap, and it had lotion. And it was just this incredible experience. And I was like, holy cow. Not oh my mind was blown. So just recently I've realized that I can start paying for convenience. And this is like something that when I went to Las Vegas, I remember that there was a $6 bus that you could take from the airport to the hotels. And my cousin was like, oh no, I just took a cab. And I was like, how much was the cab? Again, I've told the story on here. And she was like, the cab was $30. And I was like, oh, $30 or $6 for the bus. She's like, you're not lugging your luggage on a bus and then waiting in the heat and then the time. She's like, just get a cab. She's like, it's so much more convenient. And I was like, oh yeah, like I can pay for convenience now. I'm in my 30s and I make money. So this was one of those things of like, oh, I could pay for convenience. So I'm having this amazing experience, living it up. I edited the podcast while I was there. I also manifested noise canceling headphones on sale that I wanted. That's a whole other story. So I had these noise canceling headphones which just like blocked out the noise of the plane, and it was also amazing. And it was my first time using them. So when I landed, I was landing at 6:45, and I was going to stay with my very good friend. If you've listened to the podcast for a long time, it's Tara. It's her fake name, but she's been on the podcast before too. Her real name is Dana. I was going to her house, and she lived about 25 minutes away from the airport. So she's like, you land at 6:45. I'm making a reservation for 8:45 because it's going to take you forever to get here. I had to get my rental car and all this stuff. And I kept saying, like, I'm going to be there by 8. And she's like, you're not going to be here by 8. And I was like, okay. I was like, but I think I'm going to be there by 8. So anyways, we land, they open the door, and because I'm the first row of the plane, I'm the second person off the plane. And it was just like, they open the door, you're out. It was so fast. And I was like, that was amazing. So then I get off the plane, go to walk to luggage. By the time I walked to luggage, the luggage had just started moving, and my luggage was second off. So my luggage had a giant priority sticker on it. So I think it means that it comes out first. So I grabbed my luggage, second one off, walk across the street, grab my rental car, walk in the rental car. I was at her house before 8 p.m. She was like, what happened? I was like, just a series of fortunate events has led me here today. I just had the best experience. I drank coffee from a mug, bubbles from a glass, a fork and a knife, a mini salt and pepper. I had nuts. I had so many things. They gave me jerky because I couldn't eat the meal. They made me a little salad. I was like, I can't believe it. I'm like, I didn't even know that existed at the front of the plane. They closed that little curtain, and it's like a bunch of secrets are on the other side. And she was like, oh yeah, like, she's like, I've had that experience because her parents fly first class a lot. She's like, so I'd go visit them in first class and I'd see that. And I was like, well, I've never seen it. I'm like, except for that one time where I was peeking through the curtain, but I didn't see the extent of everything that they get up there. They give you snacks like 3 times. Anyways, so I had this amazing experience. I was like, my legs were stretched. I was leaning, and not very tall, but I'm 5'8". And I was just saying, you know, like, it was amazing. Like, I'm not sore. I feel great. I had so much room. I feel fed. I'm not starving. I usually have to, like, really go to the bathroom because I never go to the bathroom on planes. But because I was drinking so much bubbly and the bathroom experience was so nice, I was like, this is great. So I'm just on cloud 9. Everyone's like, how was your flight? And I was like, it was amazing. This is what happened. So then on the way home, I was like, you know, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can never sit in the back of the plane again. I'm like, the podcast was true. Once you do it once, like, I'll never be squished like a little sardine in the back, waiting 20 minutes just to get off the plane, and then forever for my luggage, and then security. So on the way back, I get that same email, and I didn't want to risk going to check out and there not being any seats left. So it was same thing, front row of the plane, but this time I was on the left side instead of the right side window. And I was like, you know what? I'm booking it. I went to book it. It was only $150. And I was like, that's fine. It's still worth it because, again, my return trip is only $150. So even with these 2 upgrades, I was still cheaper than if I bought a regular ticket. And then on the way back, same thing. I had priority security. It was so easy to get my car back. Everyone was saying there was going to be so much traffic in Toronto. It was perfectly fine. And then I was just like, I have free lounge access. And because I was earlier to the airport, because I thought dropping off my car would take off longer, I was like, I'm going to use this free lounge access and really sit in this luxury travel abundance, new era me. So I went to the lounge, I got some food, I got some snacks, I got to sit in the private lounge until it was almost time. I walked over to my gate, they called zone 1. Now I knew the drill. I was ready for the towel, for the water, for the meal, for the silverware, for the jerky, for the nuts, for everything. I was like, bring it on, universe. And it felt like such an upgrade. But it's also so scary because now I have to maintain this level of abundance and I have to maintain this level of manifestation and figuring out how on every flight now, on every flight that I want to take, I'm going to want to sit in the front. And that wasn't even a first class experience. I was sitting in premium. So there's still, ways to go up. But it's just expanding your awareness. It's expanding what's available to you. It's expanding what you can have. And also just like my understanding of like who sits in first class. So it's funny like watching people walk by you as the rest of the plane loads. So many people were like, oh, it's nice up here. Like, oh, must be nice to sit at the front of the plane. Like just making like comments. And I was wondering, like, who are the people that sit up here? Like, how does everyone else do this? Did everyone else just pay $100? Like, who are the people that booked this? How much did they pay? And I realized that a lot of people are using points. A lot of people, business paid for it. Their job paid for it. And it's just like a very normal thing. But I always like held it in such high regard that like only the most professional, rich business people sit at the front of the plane. It's like, no, you can manifest whatever you want. Like, everyone at the front of the plane is the same as the people in the back of the plane, or you just chose your seat. So it was a lot of expansion for me, and it was a little scary because it's like, now I have to do this all the time. Of course, I want to drink bubbles the entire time I'm traveling, or like coffee in a mug. So this entire episode isn't me sitting here bragging about the 2 cheap front of the plane seats that I got. It's to inspire you to manifest bigger, call in greater abundance, do things that scare you, call in abundance that scares you, and knowing that you're ready for the next level. Like when the universe puts something in your way, it's like, you are ready for this. Do it, accept it, call it in. And even though my trip home was a big trip and lots went on and I was here and there and family stuff and taita and, all these things going on, there's also the universe showing me how much abundance there was and how there's so much good things as well. So I hope this inspires you to try something maybe a little scary, to call in a bigger abundance or manifestation, to accept a bigger abundance or manifestation that maybe the universe is trying to give you and level you up. Because now I feel so excited to always have fast line security and my luggage have that big priority sticker on it and it be the first one out of the gate and I'm the first one to load. I was like, why would you ever want to be the first to load? Like, you're just sitting there for longer. But it's the whole experience of it. You're paying for the experience of it. And now I'm starting to understand why. So I hope this little inspiration dropping in your ears is helpful for you. If you do manifest something big and scary, please share it with me over on Instagram at Medium in the Middle. If you're not already following me over there. If you haven't already, please leave a rating and a review for this podcast. It really helps me out in the podcast lands, or send this to someone who maybe needs a little push to manifest something big in their life. But until next Wednesday, Middlers, when I see you again in your ears, I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye, everybody.